What's happening, guys? Ronin, man. So I've been asked to do a NoFap video. I'm going to finally do it. I've had a lot of long think about it. I'll try to put a bunch of ideas here out on my thoughts on the subject. First thing is, if you look at the community of NoFap, it's a bunch of guys talking about not masturbating, okay, and why it's good for them. Physically, mentally, spiritually, gives them more control, whatever. There's many purported benefits to not masturbating. And I think that movement kind of started with Sting. Back in the 80s, he talked about how he didn't have sex, or he had sex, but he didn't come. And then that gave him power, gave him this and that. And I don't know, that's the thing about these things. People talk about them and then there's no follow-up. Well, we don't know. We don't know if he does it now, right? But he's a very influential guy, and he said that. And naturally, that kind of stuff lives on the internet forever. And so a lot of short-term stuff becomes long-term because of the nature of the internet. Like videos that are popular, they're popular forever, basically, And the videos that are unpopular, they're unpopular forever, right? It's very win-lose in social media. So a lot of information, even the people that made the video originally, now regret it. This is very common. I have a lot of friends who are YouTubers. Actually, it's more common than you think. It's the guys will say something and they'll realize they were completely wrong, or they'll completely change their life afterwards, right? So, I know guys, I just heard about somebody, a friend of mine who was very hardcore MGTOW. He got married, so that was, whoa, that was a surprise. So people change, but they don't say it publicly. That's the thing. So you don't get the information about the truth about this type of stuff. So this NoFap is an attempt to give you as much truth from both sides and understand what is actually going on here. I think it's more of a social meme than anything. If you look at, and it's a short-term one at that. There's two aspects. Okay, so one thing is, look at the way that society essentially tries to improve themselves. Okay, so whether it's losing weight, for religious people sinning less, stopping smoking, going to the gym, whatever it is. Look at the way most people do things. To me, it's disgusting. Most people, if you watch them, they are so impotent. They'll say, oh, I'm going to the gym. Once again, I'm going to do my yearly sign up. Really, this is really common. And I consider this poison. Okay, this type of thinking is so different than me. If it doesn't work, I will not do it. Period. I just that doesn't work. You know what I mean? Fuck that. No, I won't do it. I don't care how many people tell me to do it. So if I look at the gym, and when I started working out, I get more serious about it. I wonder what age was I? Maybe I was 26. I went back to the gym, and I was hanging out with this really hardcore guy, and he looked, and he had a way of kind of ignoring social pressure. So we went into the gym, and I was just working out, and he was working out, and then he said, "Look at all these fat fucks." He's like, "These guys are so fucking fat, and they're never gonna fucking do anything." Blah blah blah. He went on a total tirade, rampage, and I was defending everybody. I was like, "Well, these people have different metabolisms and blah blah blah. It's different schedules and motivation and health problems." And he's like, "No, fuck that." He's like, they're these guys are idiots and they're wasting time. And and I was like, he was always like that. He was super fucking extreme with his views, or clear with his views, I should say. He's very clear. And I started to think about it, and I thought, actually, yeah, in some ways he was right, because there's so many people that are slogging along in life, and they get a lot of benefit out of kind of trying, I'm going to try to not sin. I'm going to try to quit smoking again, right? I'm going to try to get some muscles. I'm going to try. And then they slog along. But if you look in the mirror, it's not working. It is not working. And one thing in this channel, I want you to stop doing that kind of stuff. Just accept that you're overweight, okay, if you are. Just accept it. Not something you didn't know already. It's not like, oh my God, what a shock. No, you're overweight. And the way to fix that is not by associating or even letting the mind memes into your fucking brain. Don't even let them in. Do not even let them in. Find people that solve problems and get it done. Okay, and they're not using some fake shit to get muscles. Okay, somebody who's really doing it natural, they're really improving their body, right? And you know, that is a person that you can actually hang with. And you want somebody who's harsh. You want that. Just because you're surrounded by like average people just slogging through life with no real hope. These guys, you know, they know they're not going to get in shape. They know that. They know that. It's just like the way it is. They kind of just get something off, like telling their wife or their friends, I'm going to the gym, you know, grabbing their, you know, whatever, their, gloves and everything. And they're like, okay, he spends time in the gym. But they look at him and the guy looks like he spends time working at Dunkin' Donuts, right? But nobody wants to say the truth. Nobody wants to say, hey, man, it's not working. But I will say that. And the reason why is because I think that's the most loving thing you can do, is to tell your friends the truth in the best way possible. You got to be able to tell the truth. This is one of the biggest problems with social media, with social justice, is you got to be able to tell the truth. If you want to change, you need to know the truth. And the truth is often not as harsh as you think. You know, because your mind will tell you, okay, the truth is I'm overweight. But then your mind will say, that's because I'm an idiot. It's because I'm this, I'm lazy. That part isn't true. That part is not the solution to fix your problem. You admit the problem, but don't assign a bunch of bullshit to yourself of why it's not working. Usually the main reason is you're doing the wrong technique. Usually that's it. Hanging with the wrong friends, doing the wrong technique. Don't put yourself up on the cross and start beating yourself. You know, that does not help, and it's not even true. It's literally not even true. You get the right workout often, you know, you have the right friends. It's easy. You just fucking get in killer shape. You're like, why was this so hard before? You know, same with smoking. You know, don't hang with people who just keep trying to stop. You know, do something like read Alan Carr's Guide to Stop Smoking, and then hang out with guys who use that book. You know, I have a lot of friends who quit smoking with that book, and then just quit. You know, it's fucking done. You know, that's in my past. You know, I had my fun. I'm done. You know, and so with the NoFap thing, I see a lot of similarities. I see people moaning, oh, you know, I did it again, you know, same as the cheat day for the girls. Oh, my diet, I cheated again. You know, I got my cheat day, you know, and, oh, today's my cheat day. Oh, this is a bad day today, you know, and there's a lot of like this kind of talk. This is not the truth. The truth is life is every day. There are no cheat days. And you are going to either get in better shape, have better health, or worse health. And the body doesn't know anything about cheat days or advertising or anything like that. Motivation, the body's like, this food came in, okay, now this happens, right? So on to NoFap. So NoFap is, I in my experience, I'm 55. I've seen a lot of guys. I hang out with a lot of young guys. Okay, so I've had tons of friends who they just constantly, you know, they just berate themselves and this and that, and they're a sex addict and all this stuff in their mind. They're just endlessly going over this. I got to stop doing this, but I can't. But I did it again. But I cheated. You know, and they assume that they are working on something valuable. And I think a lot of guys, here's the mindset. I think this is the true mindset of most people in any of these positions, whether it's food, NoFap, whatever. This is like the most dangerous. This is the heart of it. They believe, okay, this is what a lot of guys believe. They believe that by beating themselves up and trying, even if it doesn't work, they're doing a good thing. Like it's almost like the sense of a man who is training for a big sporting event, or to get a license, or to be a top trader, or whatever it is. He's like putting in the discipline and the energy, and then later the benefits will come. So it's bastardizing that same idea, because you're using discipline to get something valuable. In this case, you're kind of using discipline, but not really. And the value is not really well thought out. It's not well researched. So the idea that NoFap is going to give you physical great health and you are going to get peace of mind. These are things that are often untestable, okay? So we live in a world that is complex, a gray world. And often in my videos, I'm not black and white. But just look around. Look around at guys that are NoFap, and say to yourself, is this guy peaceful? Is he more peaceful than other guys? Is there a way to measure his peace? And if he is more peaceful, is it because of NoFap? It's impossible to know this stuff. It's like, how the fuck would you know this? Like, just look at people. Just like I look at the gym. Valentine's Day. Go look at women's faces. And I said this in a comment, but watch a wife when she sees her husband walking towards him. Look at her face. Just silently look at her face. Every time you see a woman approach a man, just like their regular husband, long-term boyfriend, just silently study the woman and see what is she looking like? What is her expression? Is she happy? Is she sad? Is she angry? Is she happy? Is she like elated, right? This will tell you a lot about relationships. Just simply looking at the world. The John Muir video is a great way to start. And same thing with the gym. Just look at people and say, I don't want to be like that. I know that they're not weak, it's like they're just doing something wrong, So, but you decide, this is the thing, you decide, I'm not going to be like that. Now with the NoFap guys, often it's short term. I know a lot of guys who were NoFap and now they have a girlfriend, or now they jerk off and they don't mention it because now they don't do it anymore. It's like they did it for a while and now they don't do it, but they don't want to talk about it because they still think they should do it. It's like sinning, right? I'm still sinning. Like maybe I should not jerk off, but I still do, kind of thing. So there's so much, pressure. Once you've set yourself up as a NoFap guy, okay, you say, oh, I'm getting these huge benefits, right? It's the same with Instagram people who are vegans. They say vegan is the best way, blah, blah, blah. But we know now that there's many, many vegans who now go back to meat and fish, and they're very happy. But they can't say it. But there's been some scandals, some real scandals from top vegans on Instagram. And then they realized that their health was going down. Now, of course, you can argue that, and maybe there was a way to do it and all that. But the concept is still true. I'm not talking about veganism. I'm talking about they put out ideas that they are doing this is the way they think. And then later they reevaluate those ideas. And they're reluctant to tell the truth because they kind of have a lot of friends who kind of agree with their old way. And also it shows that they changed, right? Which is not a big compliment to people. So there's a lot of reasons why you don't get really good information about NoFap. Okay, let's look at history. Let's look at wisdom of history. Okay, so who was the ultimate NoFap in history? Think about it. Who is the men who decided to never masturbate or have sex? There's actually a population that is absolutely fantastic for studying this and seeing the long-term effects of this. And you probably guessed it, Catholic priests. So Catholic priests, one of the vows is celibacy. So they vow they are not going to jerk off, and they are not going to have sex. And look at what happened to the Catholic Church. Just simply, take judgment aside, belief aside, just see what happened. It's very obvious. What happened was they tried to not do what was important for their body, or an urge, an instinct, okay? They tried to basically mess with Mother Nature. That's what they did. They tried to outsmart Mother Nature. Like, my mind matters more than my body, okay? I don't need food, anymore. I'm fine, right? I don't need that. I don't need sleep. A lot of people say that too. I don't need sleep, and they'll quote some guy who claims he doesn't sleep, right? 1 hour a day or something, right? And then they do it and it doesn't work. It's so common to get caught up in these ideas. NoFap is just another one of these ideas. So what I would say is this, is your body, okay, needs the plumbing cleaned. Okay, just like pipes, and just like a motor, and like a house needs somebody to live in it or it deteriorates rapidly. Why? breathing, blah, blah, blah. It's just weird how things need to be kind of used in order to still be viable. And, I'm going to use my muscles less to save them, right? I'm going to save my muscles, And, whether especially after an injury, that's your instinct. Hey, don't work out, No, dangerous, Just rest. But the doctors always tell you now is physical therapy is all about not resting. It's the exact opposite of your instinct, right? So the instinct is to think that there's some kind of thing that you can control. I think a lot of guys, I just thought of this. One of the other reasons why guys want a NoFap is that in some ways, guys, we are such slaves to our bodies. We are such slaves, really, and especially in our 20s. It gets better, by the way, when you get older. Really, that feeling is a frustrating feeling. Like you're like a slave to your fucking body. I had a girl who used to have, she was so sexy. This girl was, she was so sexy. God, she drove me insane. And she told me one day, she came to my house and she said, I started to touch her and everything. And then she goes, I hate my body. Because I had her all turned on. Because this girl I really drove. Like, it was like sometimes you have a match made in heaven, like as far as lovers go. This was this girl, right? For both of us. Like, I just could absolutely tear her, and she was just like an animal with me. And we both, it was fantastic. But she said that interesting thing. She said, I hate my body, because she was trying to be a good girl. She was really trying to be a good girl. She knew she had to get married. She was 23. It was time to get married. She was attractive. A lot of guys wanted to marry her. But for me, I was a big disruption to that, because she was she needed it like almost all the time. And it was like I was giving it to her, and she would come over all the time, and she was foregoing all these guys who were trying to give her presents, trying to marry her, and this and that. And so, what was I going to say about that? Oh, fuck. Oh, yeah. So the feeling of being a slave to your body, I think, might be part of it for men. Is they feel like I need to control this somehow. Like this beast of a body is getting me in trouble. It gets me, I make mistakes because of this beast, Because guys do, right? They sleep with their neighbor or whatever, and their workmate, and then it causes them a lot of trouble. So I think secretly, I've never heard this talked about, but I think guys kind of hate the fact that they're such slaves to their dicks. We talk about it, and women will say, oh, no, you're not. It's all decision, blah, blah, blah. But we know the truth. We know how our body works. It's more complex than that, right? And we understand. And there's a point where you're just like, God, why do I have to do this all the time? Like, why is my body like this? Like, why the fuck, why am I like this, And I think there's a frustration with young guys. And I think NoFap and this type of thing is a way of saying, no, I'm going to control it. I have power over my body, will, mind over matter. Yeah, and that gives a kind of feeling of satisfaction. The problem is, the more, let's say you have discipline and you are really NoFap. You're like, no fucking fap, right? And like I said, most guys don't, but some guys do. Let's say you're really good at it. Well, one, you're not helping the tubes in your dick are very complex. You can read about erections, and they're very, very, actually it's very interesting. Most guys don't know anything about erections. It's quite interesting how your body works. And you realize how subtle everything is, how important the smallest little details of chemistry and this and that in there to make that thing hard, and it's like, it's so fucking interesting. And when you start fucking with those tubes, believe you me, there are long-term effects physically. But that's not the main thing. Let's talk about something else. So let's say it causes you trouble. Let's say you screw the wrong girl and it causes you tons of trouble in your life. And you're like, I don't want to do that again. I think a lot of the NoFap guys secretly are like this. They made a mistake and they're like, no, I'm going to control this. No longer am I going to be a slave to my body. I hate my body kind of comment the girl had. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to be in control. The problem is, okay, here's the problem. I understand the feeling. Okay, I understand. But the problem is that by controlling it, you get less control. By controlling it, you get less control. And we see that with the Catholic priests. I mean, would they have molested all those kids? Would the percentage of gay priests be so high? Would there be all these crazy scandals? Because there's some really crazy scandals. Like there's priests running groups of guys and crystal meth and saunas, and like there's all kinds of crazy stuff. And you can see the reason why. The reason why is they tried to ignore, and they really were on it. Here's the thing. This is the thing that you guys got to understand about Catholic priests, is they were serious about it. They really tried. They believed in God. They really tried. See, the thing is, if you don't really try to NoFap, you're not going to have any real benefit or any negatives. The problem is if you really try and you're really sincere about it, that's when it gets serious. When you go past the point where you actually don't do your natural body functions forever, it builds up. It builds up. And it explodes, no pun intended, in a way that is not good for you. So I would say definitely, I understand the feeling. I understand the kind of the lethargy of society where it's like, let's work on something again, let's try. And I also understand the incredible dangers of the human sex drive. I think you need to respect your human sex drive and respect nature. Respect your body. Your body tells you a lot of things. In the end, we are physical beings. Even your mind is part of your body. It's not separate. Your mind is part of your body. That's why when you gain weight, you lose intelligence by a certain, every number of pounds you add, right? Every time you physically get unfit, it affects your mind because there's less blood flow, right? So you want to keep your body in shape. You want to keep your mind in shape. You want to stay healthy. You want to beat all these diseases that people get, and you want to have a great life, right? So the way is by, of course, accepting the fact that you might be frustrated about your body, right? You might be frustrated. You're like, God, why did I do it again? That frustration's okay. Nothing wrong with that. That's a feeling. That's all right, right? And then you say, well, wait a second. What are these NoFap guys? What the fuck do they really know? Who are these guys? Is this really proven? It is proven. Look at the Catholic priests. So we see what happens when guys really do go NoFap. And that is not good. And again, it's easy to blame the Catholic priests, but I don't think so. I think they're good men of God who tried their best. And it just didn't work. Like they had almost like they're victims in a way, because they were told that this was going to work. They were told this was a spiritual way of living. They were told that, you know what I mean? Like all these things they were told, and it just wasn't true. So, they tried to solve it. They tried to hold it. They prayed, and it just didn't work. And in the end, like it ruined their life, right? So don't ruin your life. Think long-term, respect your body, look for facts, look for real reality, right? Who's living the healthiest life? And in the end, somebody who has a healthy body, who drinks water, who sleeps at night, who uses their usual body functions. These are the people that you want to emulate. This natural, healthy way of living. This is mentally, it's good. Spiritually, it's good. It's good in every way. And you live longer. Don't be shutting down parts of your body thinking that it's going to work. Like, just kind of randomly, hey, I'm going to mess with my body's basic system, right? I'm going to sleep. I'm going to have an apartment with no window, because you don't understand the value of natural light, how that sets your clock. There's so many subtle things in our lives that we don't even, we don't really need to know about. The key thing is just remember that if you use your body healthily, normally, you will probably have a pretty good life, and you almost don't even need to know all this other stuff, because it's like, it doesn't matter, because you're like, oh, I'm good. So go ahead, feel free. I would say enjoy yourself, do what you need to do, use it as a control mechanism. You can use it as a control mechanism. I had a friend who, whenever he did pick up, he would always jerk off before we went out. And the reason was because he didn't want to be over eager, with the girls. And I took a different strategy. I took a different strategy because that eagerness, I believe, was something that the girls could read. And it was something they wanted. They didn't want a guy who was dead. They wanted a guy who actually wanted them. Now, it's a balance, because you don't want to be over needy. But that I thought that was smarter, and it worked for me. And what he did worked for him, so it's all good. So you can do things. You can jerk off before a date if you know you're not going to have sex. There's things you can do, but these are not controlling. These are just kind of like, what do you call it? Yeah, it's not. It's just timing, right? You're going to do it anyway, just timing, right? That's all. That stuff is good. You might be in a hurry, you might eat your meal faster, right? Those type of things are very smart. And I did those. I tried those kind of things. In the end, I kind of gave up on all that controlling and timing and everything. And I just kind of basically just lived my life. And then whenever, I feel my body, I'm in touch with my body. And then when I feel something, when I feel a need to do something, I will do it. I will drink water. So I don't force myself to drink water. I don't drink like 800 cups a day when I'm not thirsty. But right now I'm thirsty, so I'm going to get some water. And same thing as when I'm tired. I fell asleep fast, right? So I listen to my body. I go with my rhythm. And that, I think, helps me. And I look at myself, and I think of myself, my body. I think, well, maybe it was a pretty good idea to live the way I lived. So if this makes sense to you, if this is good information, I'm very grateful. If you choose to do something else, that's great. Comment below. That's the thing about this channel is we have a lot of different kinds of guys here, and there's different opinions, and there's smart guys here. So I respect different opinions that guys have, and maybe somebody will have some kind of proof of something or whatever, like that it would work for them or whatever the hell it is. These are just my thoughts, and I hope they're helpful. Thanks for watching.